we'll come back to that.
And I like, because her ideas and mine and things that I've done are right in line, yeah, very much.
Well,
Okay.
we'll come back to it, but I think
Jeez,
that,
we're hitting everything here. What do we got? Okay. we're
yeah,
done
we have
with
5
Kathy.
minutes, and you
All
know
right.
what, I'm gonna use it to call Steve Min.
On what?
You wanna, okay, you guys may need to take a break for 1 second.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm about a 52 long, probably roughly in there. It depends again on the cut of the suit. You know, some of them I could be a 54, others I can be a 50. You know, depending on how the suit goes. And they also give you one alteration, which I'm hoping to pursue that in about 6 months, because I'm hoping to be down about 25 pounds, 30 pounds, and if that happens, then I'll have to go in and they give you one of those free too. One free alteration after they're done with the initial one.
What are you now, 6'4", 250?
Probably closer to 260, considering I haven't, you know, considering I haven't worked out. I mean, I'm back just starting now, working out. I started a week ago, and I'm watching my diet a little more again. And what's nice is now that I'm off the campaign trail, I don't have to eat all the junk food. You know, you tend, when you're out there running and this, that, and that, it's too many McDonald's burgers and too much pizza and all of that type of stuff, and that's the worst there is for you when it comes to, you know, it's like in bodybuilding, when weight training like that, believe it or not, 50% of it's nutrition. 25%'s the actual working out, and 25% is rest. If you were to break it down.
What do you think of this steroid thing? I mean, is it a real dangerous...
Absolutely. Oh, I was hollering and screaming about it back in the 80s, trying to bring the attention to people of going, you don't realize you've got a what's a term I'm looking for, almost a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, oh yeah, I mean, with any drug like that, certainly there's an upside, but people always forget there's a downside to any drug.
As an athlete, do people come into the locker room pushing that stuff?
Do they put, well, in the 80s, you could get it from any doctor.
You could.
Oh, it was legal. There was nothing. All you had to do was go into a doctor and say, geez, I need to put on 15 pounds, 20 pounds. And they write you a script.
Well, when you heard that McGuire was taking that stuff, do you know that?
That's not a steroid, is it?
Well, it's Andros, I can't remember the name of it,
Well,
but I thought it was something like a steroid.
It may be. It could be an alternative to them. Well, I get a kick out of them is that on all steroids, they have a disclaimer that says it does not enhance performance.
Does
And,
it?
oh, it's the most ridiculous statement. That fits right into Jeffrey Bible of Marlboro when he took the stand here in the tobacco trial and said, oh, I don't think nicotine's addicting and I don't think tobacco hurts you. You know, that there's no ill side effect or no health precaution. I mean, come on. No, that's a blatant, it's kind of hilarious. And everything is steroids. There's a disclaimer that says, does not enhance athletic performance. And
Well, it makes you stronger.
yeah, if you're stronger, you're better.
Energetic?
Yeah. Well, through the strength, whether it makes you more energetic, just the strength it gives you will make you more energetic. There may not be a direct of giving you more energy, but when you're stronger, you're going to have more energy. And there's no doubt about it, it's performance enhancing. And see, that's the part where it comes into play, the real problem. Because being it does enhance performance, then it's not a level playing field from the person using it to the person who's not using it. You now have an unfair competition.
Yeah, sure.
Because they have something they're taking that gives them an edge.
You think McGuire gets an edge from that? I mean, Sosa took something too. I forget what it was, but...
Well, they either all take it or they all don't. I kind of look at it to make a level playing field. I would say certainly he does.
Was it widespread in wrestling?
It was widespread in everything,
I'll go get that.
not just wrestling.
You have such a huge bulk in the wrestling.
Well, wrestling caused it to happen mainly because of the nature of the business. they run you so hard. You're pieces of meat.
Yeah.
That's all you are. You're a piece of meat.
Plus you get a lot of former football players in the game now, right?
And former wrestlers. But and heavyweight. You've got to be a heavyweight. There's no market for the little guy in pro wrestling. It's a heavyweight business. But I think more so is the business itself caused you to take it because of the schedule. I mean, at one point I wrestled 63 consecutive nights in a row.
You told me, yeah.
And the point is people see you on TV, and if you show up 30 pounds lighter than what they saw on TV, they're not going to like that.
Yeah.
They want to see what they see, and so it's almost and you don't have the ability always to eat and sleep like you should because you're on the road. You're flying here, going to this hotel, doing this interview all day. You're working hard.
Yeah.
And therefore, they take it to get the edge, to keep themselves up,
When you're on at night, how long is your night? I mean,
When you're on what?
well, when you're on the circuit and you're wrestling, are you like 4 hours?
Well, you're generally required to be at the building an hour prior to the event starting because they want to know everyone's there.
Right.
So you're generally required to be in the building an hour before the event starts. Today, there's so much television that you probably have to go to some production meetings of what's going to happen with TV so that you have an idea of what's going down there. And so you get, your day is full between performing, doing production, but yet I've been out of it for 4 years, so you're not talking to a guy that's really up on it. 4 to 5 years it's been since I've been in it, so.
Governor, this is Lance Teachworth, the
Hi,
Commissioner
Lance.
of the Bureau of Mediation Services.
How are you? Nice to
Fine, thank
meet
you.
you,
Nice to
Jesse
meet you,
Ventura.
Have a
Nice to
seat,
meet you.
Lance.
I suppose you're looking for a day with nothing to do, huh?
I do Sunday.
Sunday.
I've already made about as close as I can to a governor's, what would we call that?
Oh, a proclamation
Proclamation
or executive order.
Executive order that I will not work Sundays, and I've put that executive order out, and that came to me from going to the governor's convention in Delaware.
Yeah.
The other governors told me under no uncertain term to designate a day of the week that you are unavailable and do not vary from it, because they said if you don't, you're going to run into trouble. And so I chose Sunday, and my message was simply to the whole state of Minnesota. That's a day to be with your families. Working 6 days out of 7 is enough for anybody.
Yes.
Everybody needs a day to themselves. So
Absolutely.
anyway, don't mind the cameras and all that because we're doing mostly informational today, and this is what network is this?
ABC.
ABC. Peter Jennings, World something or other, World News Today, whatever it is. So they'll be taking a few bites from this, that, and whatever. I guess they want to keep track of whether I'm working or not. I'm under the scrutiny of the camera, so. Anyway.
At any rate, I've suggested to the Commissioner Governor that this is an informational thing for him to let us know what's going on at the Bureau of Mediation Services, to get to know him a little bit.
Sure.
And so Lance, if you want to just kind of take it away and
Okay.
give
Sure.
us
I'll do
an
more listening.
overview.
And the one thing I do want to, as I do everyone, I come from a world of there is no dumb question. If I don't know it, it ain't dumb.
Well, I ask a lot of questions too.
Okay.
Mediators ask questions even when they know the answers.
Okay, there you go. Well, I'll ask them when I don't know them, and probably if I know them, I won't. But I believe there is no dumb question, and that's a premise I have as well as KISS, keep it simple and stupid.
Okay.
Because as long as I find that works very well, it keeps people on the same page, and then there's no excuse for not understanding if it's simple and stupid. And so on that note, go ahead, Lance.
Well, I'll just give you a kind of a thumbnail sketch of an overview of the office. We go back to 1939. We were created in 1939 by the legislature.
You weren't with them at that point.
Not been around a long time, but not that long. Our mission originally was to provide neutral mediation assistance in the private sector, but because public employees didn't bargain until about the early 70s, The federal government has sort of taken over the private sector mediation area, and our mission has sort of gravitated into the public sector, and really substantially into the public sector in the 70s and 80s. To the point now where about 80% of our work is public jurisdictions, 20% is private sector. We're a fairly small
And
agency.
the feds do the public sector now?
They do the private sector.
Oh, I'm sorry, the private.
Our jurisdiction is pretty exclusive in the
So
public sector.
the feds do the private sector
They do the
more.
private sector.
What was the reasoning for that? Why the feds more so than the state?
Because they had, enabling legislation for
Okay.
bargaining for private sector employees a lot earlier than public sector. Private employers can come to us for mediation, and many of them do. It's voluntary which way they want to go, but they tend to go, the larger ones tend to go to the public sector. The airline, for example, went through Federal Mediation Conciliation Service. We have exclusive jurisdiction in the public sector, though, and in Minnesota, as you probably know, we're one of the most heavily unionized states in the country. I gave Steve a book. I got another one here in case you got mixed up in some other
Well,
things.
it's in a box somewhere right now
Yeah,
over there.
yeah. We have about 70% of public employees are unionized in Minnesota, and that's a really high level. And I think we have one of the most progressive statutes as well. I mean, it's a good, balanced law. Public employees have been bargaining since 1971, and the system, I think, works pretty well. Let me just give you a quick overview, and I don't want to drown you in papers, so I just brought one.
Oh, this is great.
one thing.
Thank you.
This shows the structure of the agency. As I said, we're 23 people. And if you just look across that row of, in the middle there, that we can kind of describe our major programs. Looking over on the right-hand side, that representation unit. What we do there, and Steve will remember fondly, about 2 years ago, when the faculty at the university was organizing.
Tenure dispute.
We conduct elections to determine who's going to represent the employees. We determine who's in a bargaining unit and who's therefore eligible to vote. Those questions get contested by the parties. And so we conduct hearings, certify election results, determine bargaining unit status, and that sort of thing. The mediation unit provides that's really, those two things are kind of our core functions. The labor management cooperation unit is something that we're really trying to promote more and more to facilitate cooperative joint projects, joint relationships with labor and management. We don't want to be called in only when there's a major dispute. We want to try to give them some training and some preventive kinds of things to do to improve their relationship. And so we have a program there, and we've got a grant program that goes with that where the legislature has funded money to, we can give to labor and management to establish joint cooperative committees, and that works pretty well. And then we also go out and train in '92 by the legislature. It originally, it's bounced around a bit. It originally was set up in the State Planning Agency, and then it went to the Department of Administration, and then it came to the Bureau. And its function is to encourage alternative measures of dispute resolution other than litigation for public policy issues. This is not for a barking dog in the backyard between two neighbors. This is for two cities that have a problem, or public interest policy issues where there's a public interest involved. We facilitated, for example, this wolf management program that recently for northern Minnesota in terms of how to manage the wolf population, that kind of thing. They might do something on hazardous waste site issues. You can look at this piece over here as an office really at your disposal. But we do some work in, that would be like tripartite mediation. We do some human rights stuff in that office. We do some special education things, and so
These are actually, some of this is doers though, aside from.
Let's see, I prepared for Steve, and I'll be happy to leave this one with him again. I prepared for Steve a status report, as it were, of what I consider to be the 4 or 5 major sectors of public sector bargaining. One is the executive branch, and I mean, I'm not, we're not responsible for that, DOER is, but we're the neutral agency, and we've mediated state employee agreements. We have to be at somewhat arm's length with the process, with the political process, in order to provide neutral mediation. And there's other groups out there, and also I've been working in state.
Well, that to me would be very important. I mean, if they,
Yeah,
you can't have that.
You can't have that, and he was very good about understanding that. Will set the pattern, because it's the largest, it'll be the largest settlements in the state. It will tend to set a pattern for other groups. I don't want to.
Thing you need to tell me sensitive, we can.
Right.
Okay. Another sector is K-12, and you're well aware. Every district in Minnesota is unionized. All of the teachers are bargained collectively, as well as the support staff, the non-licensed staff. There's a climate and a tone and that kind of responsibility that, obviously comes out of the governor's office. And how you handle state bargaining will tend to be a picture for K-12. It's been going pretty well. There's still 3 contracts that haven't been settled for this current biennium, which will end
Where are they?
June 30. Well, the biggest is LeSueur, and the other is 2 small ones, Underwood and Clinton Graceville. 15th of the following year, there was a
2000.
penalty. There was a $25 per pupil penalty, one-time penalty. And this was to encourage the districts to get their contracts settled, because there was a general feeling that they would run all through the school year and all this bargaining activity would tend to be potentially disruptive to the students. And so the 97, 99 cycle, they suspended that just to see what would happen. I've got a chart in here, Steve, that shows you what happened.
Okay.
That deadline will go back into effect. And we have not, as mediators, taken a formal position one way or another, and we tend to stay out of that. But there's an obvious impact on having.
On whether the deadline
Yeah.
exists or not.
Yep. And I
Okay.
put a chart in there.
Okay.
Local government, we conducted the election. How many faculty? You're about 2,500 maybe?
Yes.
We conducted the election, and they immediately called for a recount.
Mm-hmm.
And we counted them a second time, and it came out the same way, which proves that we can count. I had my bags packed, and I was going to head out of town if it came out differently, because
Yeah.
all of the media, I mean, that was a high-profile election.
Sure.
But the university contracts tend to run on the same pattern that the states, with the exception of the UMD faculty. I've worked with those folks up there a lot, and they have they did a 3-year agreement for the first time. I'm gonna just give this to you again,
Okay,
Steve.
great. It doesn't hurt for us to have 2 in the office here. I do know where mine is, but I would like to have a second one.
Yeah, and that's kind of an overview, Governor, of both our agency and what I think some of the public sector looks like in terms of its
Well,
content.
like I said, Lance, it looks like we got some work coming up, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You can't run from it.
That's right. In the public sector, do you get involved when asked?
Yes, yeah. We can, the law permits us to intervene if we see a dispute that needs some assistance, but it's usually on request.
On request.
Mhm.
Okay. And so if we see a dispute that needs assistance, it wouldn't be inappropriate for us to call and say,
No.
are you getting involved?
Yeah,
We
right.
think that it needs
Right.
some.
The governor's,
To know that there has to be a balance.
yeah,
You know, I mean, if the union overtakes management, that's not gonna work. And at least, especially in the private sector, if it happens, then the company folds, and then everyone loses. So, that's, I think, the message you have to get out is that, you gotta be somewhat, to use the word centrist. You have to realize that it's got to be an even balance of the scale, you know, on both sides as close as you can get it, which will never be perfect.
You always have to look to the next one down the road. You might, I learned this early in my career, you might win on an issue, but you're gonna be dealing with those parties 2 years from then, 3 years from then, and the best policy is to look a long term.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've got to deal with these folks. So, the last few years have been.
In your private life, how do you cheer for a football game when you're so used to being neutral?
Well, I draw the line some places.
Between public and private. There you go.
Right.
Good. No, I just would think, you know, that type of job, you're so accustomed to down the middle.
My wife accuses me of never giving her a straight answer, but
Well, very good. Thank you
This is
very
very
much.
helpful.
Appreciate it.
yeah,
It's
appreciate it.
very enlightening for me, Lance. Thank you
Okay,
very
good luck
much.
to you and
And
your administration.
hopefully we'll keep that smooth ship riding on the seas.
Okay. Steve, thanks much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Nice to see you.
we'll be in touch.
Gee, I have cards.
Yeah, those are temporary ones.
Temporary.
Yeah,
They say governor.
I know they
Am I
do.
getting impeached?
No, it's
Oh.
just not the final design.
Okay. You know, this is gonna be a great suntan deck out here. I think we'll have to conduct business out there in the summer.
Okay.
Can you see me in a lawn chair with
You
a
bet.
cooler by me and sunglasses on and taking some rays? What do you got for me now, Steve?
Flat out, my plans.
Guess I should have a few of these to
Yeah,
hand out along the way.
the next one is my council.
Aha,
Um,
good. I wanna hear, I'm gonna be very quiet. I just wanna hear them,
yeah,
what they do.
but you'll want to ask the kinds of questions that you've been raising the last couple months, you know, on some,
Well, I think the
on
thing that.
size and,
Well, one thing that you weren't with me on, that came to my attention on inaugural day, was the fact that the Met Council seems to be, according to the people that we're talking, is very, very top-heavy with developers and real estate people, as opposed to agricultural or rural, of maintaining a rural, and their decisions seem to be very much,
well, this is where you get this urban-rural split, probably.
yeah, because you got the urban developer who wants to take any open piece of land
they call it
and put 45 houses on it. And you got the poor farmers out there that aren't being represented very well, according to what I've gotten out of it.
Well, talk to Kurt. You know,
Yeah.
Kurt will be a real straight shooter on this kind
Okay.
of stuff. And Kurt, I think, is not interested in staying long-term. You need
Okay.
to know that. But is willing to be helpful to us until we do an appointment.
Okay.
So, you know, you've worked with Met Council because of your mayorship, so this one will be
Not much. I kind of know of them.
of them. Yeah.
I know that every political candidate I beat ended up there.
Yeah.
What are you doing for lunch? What are you
Um,
gonna do for lunch?
no plans.
I'm just thinking that, cause they'd like to, a couple of the photos would like to see him walking somewhere. I don't know, he has time to stretch his legs.
Do you wanna run somewhere for lunch? You have a half hour.
Right now?
No,
Oh,
later.
later. A half hour to go somewhere for lunch?
I know.
Well, if I do, then I'll just take a walk down to the cafeteria.
Yeah, down the
Yeah.
state office building.
That would be
That'd
I'll just go to the cafeteria and get a bite there.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll go get Kurt.
Although after Ken's meal last night, I'd rather run home.
I know.
We had, I don't know if I told you that, we had one of the best dinners I've ever eaten in my life last night. I had some close friends over in
Yeah.
venison.
Oh, you did?
Was
You
it
know,
good?
I have heard nothing but rave things about the chefs.
Oh,
They're
they were
awesome.
last night. and
They're really
He
good.
made homemade apple pie that was,
That's when he started
Hey,
his
listen.
diet.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I ate 2 pieces. It was so good.
You keep talking, I'm gonna expect an invitation
Oh,
real
sure.
soon.
Yeah, I get to come
I'm
too.
starved. I haven't had a meal for 60 days. A hot meal for 60
Yeah, I
days.
mean, it was just so, and you know who's having a good time over there, and the staff is being very, very nice to her, is Jade, my daughter.
Oh, good.
Because she's kind of lonely. I mean, she gets over in this house, no friends, no one around. So she's kind of taken the staff as her friends now.
Oh, good.
And so she spent the whole day, she did the setting of the plates and all that.
Oh,
They're
really?
teaching her where,
Things
Oh,
go.
oh, yeah, where this fork goes there and that fork goes there, and she's learning all of that
Wonderful.
stuff,
You
so.
can help Terry. Terry's fretted about that, and so now Jane
Yeah.
will be here.
No, well, and it's, you know, and it's, they're being very good about it too, you know, of letting her kind of, but she's in school today, she's back in school, so.
Now, did she switch or did she go back?
No, she's going, yeah, she's
You're
gonna
gonna keep her
stay,
up?
yeah, I'm gonna, because a trooper will take her there, and surprisingly, it's no different. When she rode the bus from the old house, she was a very early pickup and a late drop-off. So she literally rode the bus for a half hour. And the drive from here to her school is a half hour.
Okay.
So it's really no longer
Good.
for her to you know, drive from the cabin. I'd like to keep her in her same school.
Yeah.
Because she just made a switch this year.
Yeah.
And to switch her again,
Yeah.
that'd be tough. So I want to keep her where she's at.
Good. Let me get Kurt.
Very good.
Stephen, do you want to mention about this or? Doing some stuff at the house while you guys are at the residence now, similar to what we did this morning. Are you?
At the house?
Yeah.
You mean at the residence or
Yeah.
my Maple Grove house?
Well, it's up to you. I think
Well, I
since you're
prefer it
staying
at
at
the
the
residence.
residence, then maybe tomorrow we could do something with her.
At what time?
You name it.
I don't want it in the morning tomorrow.
Okay.
I got up too early today. And
Do you do breakfast there?
No, I haven't. I usually have an engineered drink.
Well, we could do a nighttime deal. If you want to do a dinner, or, you know, we had talked to her about being able to get more of the family and doing something like that at some point.
Yeah, we could do that tomorrow in the evening, a little bit. Because what I'll be doing in the evening tomorrow, I think, is more of the book.
Yeah.
And if she wants to
She
sit
wants to
in
kind of
while
just
I'm,
follow you the whole day, kind of be the fly on the wall. And she's been with us now for a few days, and you know, I mean, she's pretty good at
yeah, staying out of the
blending
way.
in. And
Yeah.
she's
Yeah,
really-
for you know, certainly she'd come over for an hour or so.
Okay. What about in the morning? Just kind of hooking up with you early and just following you through the day.
Yeah.
Okay.